Is Donald Trump now prepared to do whatever it takes to turn America back into the world's undisputed superpower, or has he become mentally unbalanced? Are the actions we are seeing driven by personal frustration, anger, and resentment over not receiving a Nobel Prize, or is Trump trying to send a clear message to the world? Wherever America's interests are at stake, he will not hesitate to push the world into conflict. History shows that there are certain months when the direction of the world fundamentally shifts. January 2026 may well be one of them. This month marks the final phase of the first year of Donald Trump's second presidential term, yet the decisions taken by Trump have placed the world squarely in the middle of a growing storm. Donald Trump reportedly had the President of Venezuela woken up in the middle of the night. He remains fixated on taking control of Greenland. He is actively undermining NATO. He has imposed tariffs on European countries that were once considered close allies. He made a private message from French President Emmanuel Macron public for the world to see. After not receiving the Nobel Prize from Norway, he escalated tensions. He is sending troops into Iran. India has already been hit with taxes. And his hostility towards China, North Korea, and Russia is something the world is already well aware of. But the real question is this: when you look at the series of events that unfolded this January, do you not see a clear pattern? One that includes humiliation, pressure, and deliberate chaos? That is why the question arises: why is Trump behaving this way? Is this a calculated strategy to reassert America as a global superpower? Or is it the personal frustration of an 80-year-old man whose anger is no longer confined to Washington or even the United States? Can any responsible global leader turn personal rage into global policy? And if this trajectory continues, the consequences will not be limited to a political crisis in America alone. The future of NATO, global trade, and even the foundations of a third world war could be at risk, because the instability of a single individual is sometimes enough to push the world towards war. History has seen this before, and it may be happening again. Actions are unfolding that have no real precedent in modern history. One clear example is the leaking of Emmanuel Macron's private messages. Trump did something that few even imagined was possible. He published screenshots of the French president's private communications on his own social media platform, messages that Macron had shared with Trump in confidence as part of diplomatic dialogue were publicly mocked. Trump then warned that if France failed to accept his terms and refused to join his proposed Board of Peace, he would impose tariffs of up to 200% on French wine and champagne. This move amounts to a sitting president applying direct diplomatic coercion against another president. Many observers have described it as below-the-belt politics. The world has not seen this kind of behavior before. This style of leak-driven politics has eroded trust between global leaders. Today, no leader feels comfortable having a personal or confidential conversation with Donald Trump, because there is always the fear that what is private tonight could be released publicly the next morning, complete with audio recordings or screenshots. And this is not just a single incident. You will remember that last year we repeatedly discussed Trump's obsession with the Nobel Prize. Trump claimed, "I stopped this war, I stopped that war." His dispute with India was also driven by the same desire for credit. Yet Trump did not receive the Nobel Peace Prize. Ironically, the prize went to a woman from Venezuela, the very channel through which the Venezuelan president was reportedly detained. Donald Trump's fixation on taking control of Greenland has now taken a dangerous turn. It increasingly appears to be revenge for the humiliation he suffered in 2019, when Denmark rejected his offer to buy Greenland. Now in 2026, Trump is asserting that whatever he decides is final. He claims Denmark is incapable of defending itself and argues that he will not allow Greenland to fall into the hands of China or Russia. Therefore, he says he will take control of it. Trump also sent a letter to Norway's Prime Minister, Jonas Gahr Støre, expressing his anger. In that letter, Trump reportedly wrote that because Norway's Nobel Committee did not award him the Nobel Peace Prize, he would no longer limit himself to talking about peace, and that military action over Greenland could also be an option. A man who seems to be treating the whole world like it revolves around him. And Trump himself is effectively saying that. In a series of posts on social media, he shared images that depict Greenland, Canada, and Venezuela as if they are part of the United States. In one, he's shown planting a US flag on Greenland alongside Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, with a sign saying Greenland, US Territory Estate 2026. In another, an edited map shows the United States, Canada, Greenland, and Venezuela all under the US flag behind him in what looks like a meeting with European leaders. Trump has repeatedly argued that the US needs Greenland for national security and has suggested that Canada should be the 51st US state, ideas that have been roundly rejected by Ottawa. These posts aren't just casual visuals. They're spreading the idea that these sovereign nations are effectively US territory, and that's what's worrying global leaders and commentators. These AI images are not just for entertainment, because Trump has a habit of turning even what seems like a joke into something serious enough to unsettle people. He wields so much power that treating his words as a joke can be dangerous. That's why questions are being raised about his mental state. Is he trying to make America great, or is one individual reshaping the world map according to his own whims? Trump's actions are benefiting Putin and Xi Jinping the most. Putin sees cracks forming within NATO because of Trump. Europe can no longer rely on the US for its security. Russia is being given an opportunity to expand its influence in Europe. Trump has also begun treating allies like Britain and France as adversaries. He dismissed Britain's decision to return the Chagos Islands to Mauritius as foolish. His argument is that this weakness will be exploited by China. Even at the Davos conference, there was an uproar as European Union leaders were uniting against Trump's economic pressure. At this point, either Donald Trump is psychologically unstable and mentally disturbed, or he has entered a zone where only America's interests matter to him. What the world thinks is irrelevant. Anyone who serves America's interests is a friend. Everyone else is an enemy. That is precisely why millions of Trump supporters view him as a symbol of strong leadership. Trump's Treasury Secretary has openly described this as strength. According to him, Greenland is not just a piece of land, but a critical component of America's missile defense system. He argues that Europe has been living off American money for decades. However, many critics believe that at the age of 80, Trump's mental balance has deteriorated. Even within the United States, voices are growing louder questioning whether Trump remains mentally fit for office. Psychologists point to signs such as heightened aggression, anger, and memory lapses, symptoms that could indicate the early stages of dementia. Inside America, there is now talk of a major constitutional confrontation, whether Trump will truly make America great or turn the entire world against it. At this stage, Russia and China hardly need to take action themselves, because the United States has already succeeded in turning most of its own allies into adversaries. The question now is there still any path to reconciliation, or has Donald Trump already crossed the line? The crossroads he stands at today has two possible directions, one leading to a stronger America, the other to destruction for both America and the world. If Trump does not relent in his stubbornness over Greenland and Europe, NATO could effectively be finished by the end of 2026. America is losing decades of credibility, and Russia and China are waiting to fill that vacuum. Ultimately, the question remains, is this an effort to make America great, or just the obstinacy of one man? And if it is truly about greatness, why are personal messages being leaked? This is Donald Trump. This is his temperament. This is how he became president. This is how he asked for the Nobel Prize. And when he didn't get it, this is how he decided to show the world. What's your take on Donald Trump? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments.